This is exactly what America needed, people. A cult that worships the guys who attacked the Capitol after Trump started lying about the election being rigged, you know? Oh, what a way to start this episode, Secular. It's the whole package. I have talked before about the cult mentality and how Trump used it to his advantage during his presidency. And, well, one of the most important things that happens in a cult is when a cult leader tells you that only they are telling the truth and everybody else lies. And I'm pretty sure that you remember Trump saying, calling all the friends liars, and I think he had different nicknames for all of them. I don't remember them, but you must remember it. This, handsome leader who had to put his head on the body of Rocky Balboa became a symbol of hate speech around the world. For me, I felt that right at that moment, when a guy who is openly transphobic, misogynistic, who is talking to uneducated people and to people who want to hate others instead of, taking responsibility or understanding what is going on in their country, and that guy goes and gets the majority of votes in the USA, I think that is a moment when I thought, has education failed in the USA? Or is it part of just more indoctrination and part of the harms of religion? What do you think about this, Kelley?
The more I see what's going on with these people and the traction that they're gaining, the more it makes me want to combat exactly what it is they're doing. I see this personally as one of the biggest threats to our way of life here in the United States today. Unfortunately, where I live, I'm like a sea of sanity in this, or an island of sanity in this sea of craziness around. And I have a hard time being able to be politically active in my area because there are so few of us. I once went up to a man who was screaming about tort reform in a Walmart once, and he had no idea what tort reform was. And I tried to explain it to him, and he actually tried to get me into a fist fight with him. So I had to back off. It was not something I wanted to do. And so when I see these things, it makes me want to stand up and do something. And I don't feel like I can do something where I'm at. So I try to do things like this, where I can talk about it more and reach more people. I really love the term Christo-fascist that the author used in this, because it really sums up the hatred and the whole feeling behind this horrendous movement. In the past decade or so, these Christo-fascists have become more and more emboldened too, because they're a dying demographic and they realize this, and they're lashing out like a cornered dying animal in what I hope is a vain attempt to preserve outdated ideals of superiority.
Yeah, this article definitely has quite a lot to it. I mean, I think one of the things that was really frustrating, there's a quote from Patty Castillo Porter. She is an accountant and officer with a Republican committee to represent, quote, the voice of the grassroots America First posse. And one of the things that really frustrated me about the quote was she said, you name it, God is there, because people know you can't trust your politicians. You can't trust your sheriff. You can't trust law enforcement. The only one you can trust is God right now. And that flies, I mean, just absolutely in the face of what our entire Constitution is about, right? I mean, and this isn't something that has completely come out of nowhere. We saw this back in 2008 and 2010. There was a growing religious right movement that was actively focusing on how do we affect policies and laws across the country in a way that is going to, kind of kowtow to our particular version of a particular religion. And it's not as if they're okay with, just any Methodist that gets into office, or A liberal Baptist, no problem. No, it is a very charismatic, evangelical, very specific type of religiosity. And I mean, yeah, you're right. Christo-fascist is it is a great term that I hope we hear some more people calling out. So
one of the things I really thought was crazy in the article was that they had the one picture of the group doing starting their meetings with a prayer. And I thought the idea that any political party would use religious prayer as an essential part of their philosophy is just reprehensible to me. I mean, they're just basically isolating a whole section of the American population and saying that we're not worthy of being represented, right?
Right. And they're latching on to, sure, they're picking up with full stride, and they're saying, oh no, this is about freedom. It's about freedom. We're so tired of the government overreach with all of these, pandemic, COVID, bills and legislation and restrictions. Except the funny thing is, they're not hiding it anymore. Sean Fredrickson, one of the organizers of one of the particular rallies that they were out, is actually saying that it's something deeper. It's not just COVID mandates. The idea is that Christian morality is the necessary foundation for governance in a free republic. His words are, Christians are the ones that are responsible for granting you and myself the right and authority over government. And that is just, first off, flat out not true. It is not in any way, shape, or form in line with the Constitution. And funny enough, it's not even really in line with the Bible, because there's a whole section where Christ says, render unto Caesar what is Caesar's, that you are supposed to obey the government because God has put them there. The thing is, though, God didn't put them there. We voted for these people. I don't know, Teo, you're on the outside. How does this make you feel? Does this make you feel excited about where the United States is going, or?
It doesn't make me feel excited at all. I used to want to live in the USA. Now I couldn't. Even if you paid me, no, not in the current conditions. This reminds me of a movie that I saw recently, well, some months ago, 2025, where Christians, they said that the COVID was just a huge conspiracy to make worshiping God illegal. And they actually believed that wearing masks and not being able to congregate was nothing but a conspiracy. And this feeling is present in all these people. As you said, they believe that they are in a kind of superior position, and they are not shy about it. I'm going to quote the article. Here they say, participants describe encountering the divine and feel that they are doing their part to install God's kingdom on earth. For them, right-wing political activity itself is becoming a holy act. That is the level. And of course, they represent a wide array of this content, from opposing vaccine mandates to promoting election conspiracy theories, the whole package, everything. And it's scary how you can see cult mentality working on these groups. And it scares me, guys, because as I said, when the majority of voters decided that Trump was the best election some years ago, I could see this huge group of people growing up, gaining power. And yes, now they didn't get a second chance with Trump, but they are organizing themselves. They are creating events. They are opposing the government. They are opposing basic health restrictions to stop this virus from spreading. And they are proud of it. That scares me.
Yeah, and they're wrapping it all up in language that they know will evoke just the average middle of the road patriot, right? Not the person that's so hardcore nationalist or anything, not that person, but just the person that just wakes up and just says, yeah, I like the United States. I love this. It's wonderful. I've lived here my whole life. My whole family's here. When they say things like, God is responsible for granting you and me freedom, or the core American values of, religiosity and family and yada, yada. it is explicitly designed to hide the absolute, again, outright un-American and unconstitutional attitudes and policies that these people are wanting, and they are using the religious trappings that have been so successful. I mean, one of the things that was so interesting to me was how important and central worship music was at all of these places now. And it was so interesting, because I think there's a lot of us on the non-religious side that have said for a long time how important it is to really control the emotions of, you know, parishioners and practitioners and so forth. And one of the easiest ways you can do that is through some, you know, some of those really lovey-dovey, good feel kind of songs. And if you mix a little bit of Jesus and you mix a little bit of a USA love in there together, it hits people. And I don't know. I mean, maybe we talk afterwards, guys, but maybe we need to start an ACA rock band, you know? Maybe that's what we have to do here. So what do you think, Kelley?
You know, you had mentioned before about appealing to people's the things that people are thinking today. And one of the things that's really spread out through our society is a lot of people are not happy with the government, and they're playing off to that too. We need to change the government. And if we bring it more in line with our Christian ideals, everything will be so much better, right? And I find that really scary. But as Sinclair Lewis once said, when fascism comes to America, it's going to be draped in a flag and carrying a Bible. And here it is. It's right here coming. This really is the biggest threat we have to democracy today, in my opinion. And instead of fighting back against these perceived ills of the government that we all think we see, we need to be fighting back against these people, because they want to become the government. They want to take this vision that they have of this America, this Christian America, and impose it on all of us, right? So I think that we all really need to start standing up to this. Even me in my area here, I'm trying to be more proactive in my local politics, even though I know most people here don't listen to it. But it makes me want to get up and do something. It makes me know that I have to get up and do something.
Yeah, and I think that was one of the reasons that just in my area of the country, there's a couple of local things. I won't go too deep into them, but there's some stuff related to education, in terms of, you know, what we're going to teach young children and how we're going to teach them and stuff. And the movement that we're seeing on the religious right politically is not just political. It's economic, it's education, it's medicine, healthcare. It is all encompassing, because God is all encompassing, because God is everywhere, because everything has to glorify his name. And again, I don't think I can say it enough. That is a value that is at its core fundamentally opposed to what the United States was founded on. Doesn't mean we've lived up to those lofty ideals. We absolutely have failed time and time again, but we have been moving forward. We have been making progress where we are starting to be more inclusive of other people, and we've stopped as much shaming as we have in the past. 30, 40 years ago, anybody, whether it was, you know, a federal office or local office, you couldn't be an elected dog catcher if you came out and even just said, I don't really go to church, you know. And now we do have some people that are very open about it and have been doing some wonderful things at a lot of different levels. But exactly what Kelley said before, this movement is not going to go down without a fight. They are not interested in releasing the absolute authority that they have had for so long. And the best thing that we can all do is stay active and stay focused, and, you know, just make sure that this doesn't get pushed past us and enacted. Make sure this stuff just isn't what the freaking law is. I mean, am I crazy here? Am I off base? Am I just wildly in left field, or
Not at all, sir. I have to tell you, in future, in 10 years, 20 years, this is going to be part of history, either we like it or not. And how it's going to be viewed is this, oh yeah, look at those crazy atheists who wanted to destroy our beautiful Christian nation, or can you believe that there was a time where the USA was in danger because atheists were starting to disappear and Christians, well, not Christians, but some specific fanatic groups were taking over the country? Either which one of those versions of history is told in future, this is going to be history, and what is happening now is going to affect all the years that are coming. And guys, it's terrible, or not terrible, but yeah, it is. You go to those conventions, to the events that we're talking about, you see those guys wearing their MAGA hats with their shotguns next to the shepherd talking about InfoWars and what it was told there. And you go and talk to people who are there. Let me quote from the article once again, Tammy Jackson. She was in the one of the many people interviewed for this article, and something that she said made was creepy. It was creepy for me. She said that she wanted to be a part of staking claim to what God was doing, that this is all a Jesus movement, and she believes that God himself removed Donald Trump only for a short time so the church could wake up and have confidence in itself again to take their country back. They want to take their country back. And then she adds, if American would repent of COVID policies, repent, pay attention to that word, and critical race theory, and abortion, God could bless future generations for good. And then she recalls lyrics in a song by Carrie Jove, The Blessing, and all of that. And something about, may his favor be upon you and 1,000 generations. And she wants, and these people in general, they want all this Christian cosmovision to take over at least your nation, and I'm sure that in future the world. And I feel that they are fighting to turn the USA into what is Afghanistan nowadays. But instead of ISIS, whatever name they are going to give to Trump lover right-wing extremists.
Crisis.
That's very true. Very true. That is exactly what's going on. Yeah, they don't say the word theocracy, but it's very obvious in my eyes that is exactly what they are wanting. The idea of the average person voting, the idea of any random Joe Blow off the street, doesn't matter your religious leanings or your economic status or your racial heritage. That doesn't matter any of that, except it does because you need to be wealthy, white. We'd prefer cis, and you need to follow our Jesus the way that we tell you to follow our Jesus. So yeah, this is definitely something that needs to be watched, and more than that, exactly what Kelley said. We have to be so focused on this and motivated to get out and take part and pay attention, because if not, more and more stuff like this is going to happen. But Kelley, what do you think to close us out on this one? Is this something that we can be hopeful about, or is there any upside to this at all?
I want to, Teo brought up critical race theory, and I did want to mention that there is a racial bent to this movement too. The Public Religion Research Institute recently did a study in which they found 62% of the American population believes immigrants should have a path to citizenship, compared to 43% of evangelicals that thought the same way. And 55% of evangelicals in America believed in white replacement theory. So that's another part of another reason why we have to stand up against this, because they don't want to just make it a Christian America. They want to make it a white Christian America.
Yeah, definitely not. Again, un-American, unconstitutional. And I don't think we can say the word Christo-fascist enough. So